what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Hope your Tuesday is going well. The date today is Tuesday, January the 7th, 2025, 7:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the Voice Man Studios in Toronto, Canada, and this is episode 304 of McRae Live. I can't believe I've done 303 of these things. Some of them have been great, some of them probably not so great. This one is going to be a great one, though. This one is going to be a great one. This is going to be a good one. We'll see who rolls on in and see if anybody cares to be here tonight or not. But yeah, I hope your new year is off to a great start. And I have a guest on the show tonight, which I'm very excited about. It is actor Sean Sullivan, who you might know from Wayne's World, who played Phil, you know, the drunk guy in the back of the car. Yeah, that was him. He was in Back to the Future 3, of course, as well, and in a ton of movies and theater. And he's produced shows as well, and I think even composed as well. But he will let us know a bit more about that in a second. He is doing, he has launched a crowdfunding campaign for a passion project for him. This is something that it's based on a stage play. He's going to talk all about it here in a second, but I'm just giving you sort of the Cliff Notes, Cole's Notes, if you're here in Canada. And he is very excited about this project. The project is called the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus. And it's really cool, really, really cool. They launched their Indiegogo campaign. They're looking to raise about 10,000 Canadian dollars to get the campaign into in demand. They have 26 days left. They are almost at 10%. Now, I'm going to drop the link here in the chat in a moment. You will be able to see the, if you're in the States, of course, that number will be a bit lower for you because you're seeing it in US shekels, whereas it's Canadian shekels for us here. But yeah, we're going to talk about that here today, and he needs your help. He needs your help. The crew, you know, they need your help to help bring this to life. It's not a lot to get them into in demand. So hopefully maybe we can help them out tonight. Now, before I bring Sean in, I'm going to read this to you because this will be a great segue. This is what Sean sent over for me. The Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus. It has been called a surrealist horror circus mind bender and part bedtime story, part Clockwork Orange, half Bugs Bunny, half Nightmare by Broadway World. Fascinating. It begins as a darkly comic story about a sabotage performance of a rundown circus. It jackknives into a horror revenge fantasy involving magic, lust, conspiracy, mutations, insects, a circus. I don't even know if that word. I'm gonna have to get Sean to. Maybe it's because I don't have my glasses on. Sean's gonna know what that word is. He's gonna help me. These are the words are all they're even surrealist words. And a man who can fly for a while. And Lynn Griffin, by the way, Sean Sullivan is the husband of Lynn Griffin. You know her, you love her. She was in It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, Black Christmas, of course, Curtains, and Strange Brew. Lynn Griffin, Sean's wife, excuse me, is also in this as well. Of course, she was in It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. Sean was in It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, who played Sam's father as well. Or at least, let me see here. And they're hoping to put all this together, of course, if they can raise the money. This is the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus, the brainchild of Sean Sullivan, critically acclaimed theater performer and creator who has been called a virtually Nijinsky? The J strikes me as being silent. Sean's going to educate me here on a few things in a second. Of performance art by the New York Times and hilariously funny, demented, even dangerous by the Toronto Sun. After a brief yet critically acclaimed live theatrical run in Toronto, the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus are moving to the big screen in an original film adaptation, which is scheduled to begin shooting this October. The Indiegogo campaign is live as we speak. They are hoping to achieve an initial initial goal of 10,000 Canadian shekels before February 2nd. If they can do that, then that will put the campaign into in demand, and then they will continue to raise money throughout the rest of the year, leading up, of course, to going to camera this October. So without further ado, let me bring Sean Sullivan in, and he can educate me on a few things here that I clearly failed miserably on. Sean, thank you for being here, and help me out and throw me a buoy, will you?
It's a circus calliope.
Calliope. Okay, I was going to say calliope. Calliope?
Calliope.
Okay, calliope. It's a word I'm not familiar with. It's
You know, there are many lives which will never have any use for the word calliope, but in our particular case, we have one. And it's a virtual Nijinsky of performance art. Nijinsky was a famous dancer from the early 20th
So I
century.
did say it correctly. Nijinsky, I did. Okay, calliope.
And you said a lot of other things correctly too. I think you got top marks.
Okay, well, good, because you can tell me the truth after the show's done. But no, that's
yeah, I will. You know you're getting notes.
Calliope. In all my years of doing voiceover, it's a word that has not come across a page yet. Watch now. It comes down the page very soon. Calliope. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. Yeah, listen, Sean, thanks for being here. This is really cool. Obviously, some of my viewers may know you. Yes, of course, you were in Wayne's World. You were in Back to the Future 3. You were in a ton of stuff. I just recently saw a clip that Lynn shared of you from, you were dancing the people,
yeah, that was
The In Crowd.
a film called The In Crowd. Yeah, from a long time ago. My dance partner in that was Charlotte Dembois, who's like a top Broadway dancer person.
Right.
Yeah, I got thrown to the wolves. I was dancing with like hardcore Broadway dancers, and I had studied a bit of dance, but it was like, yeah, that was grueling. It looks really easy and fun.
Right. I watched the whole clip that Lynn shared, and then I was like, I wonder if there's more. So I go to YouTube, and the whole movie is on YouTube for free. And I didn't watch the whole movie, but I skimmed through it to see if I could find you. And I did, and I watched a bunch of your scenes. And I was like, this actually looks like a pretty cool movie.
It came out the same year as Dirty Dancing, and it didn't quite. The guy who wrote it directed it, and it was one of those cases where he needed like a real a real experienced director.
Right.
But I think it's a cute movie, and I loved it. Oh, also I was 3 seasons on the Umbrella Academy.
Of course, yes, of course.
Old number 5.
Yes, I would be remiss, and I am remiss because I didn't mention
Calliope.
Calliope. I got caught up in Calliope. I had every intention on mentioning, of course. Yes, that's our younger viewers may know you more from the Umbrella Academy. You were on 3 seasons of Umbrella Academy as number 5, right? The older number.
The old number 5.
The old number 5, and of course. I mean, It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. I mean, that's really where it's at.
Sam's dad.
That's it.
I'm gonna eat for free for years on Sam's dad. I mean,
well, you know what?
I don't know. You don't see me dead, so I mean, I don't know.
Well, we really don't know whose hand that was. I mean, maybe it wasn't.
A bag.
Maybe
it's a bag of.
I'll never forget though when you guys not to digress, but when we got to set and I was showing Lynn and you the prop, the hand prop. Yes. And we had one that was all done up with all the makeup, and then one that was not. And I remember the first words out of Lynn's mouth. She took the hand into her hand and she looked at it. She goes, "My God, this looks like Sean's hand. This is the same size as Sean. How did you do this? How did you know?"
It's freakishly like him.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, I wanted to take full credit that we just snuck in one night.
We have that level of artistry. I mean,
thank you. That's
it.
All the photos of Sean online, we were zooming in on his hands and every, we
were doing, detailed dimension checking.
That's it. That's it.
Computer 3D printing. designs.
Now, before we jump into the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus, I always get that back to front. Tell us a bit about yourself, your career. Obviously, you've had a heck of a career, been in some big movies. Let's kind of start. I mean, we could spend like a whole hour on this. So let's kind of dive into some of the more highlights, at least maybe for our audience, and be like, oh, yeah. I mean, whether they're highlights for you. I mean, every actor has their own personal, passionate things that may not be well known to the public, but it means a lot to them. But certainly in terms of general interest populace, how did you get cast in Wayne's World? Let's hear about that.
Oh, man. Well, I had the same casting director from Who's That Girl, which was the Madonna film, where I played a crazed gun dealer.
Right.
Who sagely told me to be absolutely fearless as we walked into the audition, and I was jumping on tables and grabbing people by the scruff of their necks. These are the producers of the film,
right?
So he and I had developed this relationship about these kinds of characters. Anyway, he called me in. He said, "Going to Paramount. They're doing Wayne's World. You're going to meet Mike and Lauren." And I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
as I was huge fan of both Saturday Night Live and the Wayne's World sketches, and knowing that he basically grew up near Lynn. He grew up in Scarborough. She grew up in Leaside. And his first agent was Lynn's mom, which is interesting, Mike Myers.
okay, cool.
Yeah, and so I went in. I met him. Mike was great. Mike was so easygoing, and basically the whole audition, they'd given me a script, some sides to read. We didn't do any of that. We just improvised a scene of Mike walking me around as Wayne and me as Phil. He's walking me around trying to sober me up.
Right.
And we just walked around this office basically 2 or 3 times, just talking as the two characters, and that was it. It was one audition.
That's it. Just one audition.
One audition, and in LA, I mean, I experienced it's like you could have like 5 auditions for a role,
sure,
in a film that of any size. So that was it. And
I've just brought a photo up on the screen of you in the back seat, drunk, so people will be able to see. Go on and continue.
Yeah. Yeah. They actually used that clip. Well, I mean, that clip's been all over the place, but I can say I've actually been in the Olympics because in the opening ceremonies of the London Olympics, they played a like 4-second clip of that. It was about things that were British, and because the movie is not British, but Queen was
right,
a British band.
Of course.
So there was this tiny clip of us in the car at the opening ceremonies of the London Olympics. Got paid a day's wage at the Screen Actors Guild for appearing at the London Olympics, but not actually being there. I won no medals. So shooting it was, Mike was just one of the nicest people in the world to work with. And I don't know if things changed later on. I know people have said that, he got tougher as time has gone on.
Right.
And such is, a career in this business. But when we did that, it was like hanging out, playing guitars. People, Mike brought his guitar. I brought my guitar. People were, just hanging out. And just a very easygoing guy. Dana was on all the time.
Yes.
But which isn't bad, because Dana Carvey is one of the most entertaining human beings on the planet.
He seems like he would be.
Just his mimicry, his characters, and he just it's almost like he couldn't help himself. He was just rolling all the time. So that was, I mean, it was an extraordinary experience.
Very cool.
And I had no one had any idea it was going to be the kind of hit that it was. But it
was huge. And it's funny.
Huge.
I went to see it for my came out in 92, so I went to see it for my 13th birthday party, and I remember it well because for whatever reason it was I don't know if this is. I don't know if this might seem weird today, or maybe it was weird then. I don't know. But I remember it, not just because it was hilarious and it was all the rage, but because for whatever reason, it was the first time I had gone to the movie theater without, you know, an older brother or a parent or whatever it was. It was just me and my 12 and 13-year-old friends. And it was just us. We were dropped off. We went in, you know, we felt very adult, you know, we're going to see Wayne's World.
And the freedom to just respond to it as you want.
Yes. And I remember, being there with the popcorn, being at the front row, laughing, you know, probably not understanding half of it. And it was just, I just always remember that for my 13th birthday, because it must have come out. I mean, my birthday's May 24th. It must have come out maybe, when did it come out? Let me just see here. Wayne's World.
I don't remember what time of year.
Wayne's World. It came out. The release was, it says February 14th, 92. I wonder if it was just, maybe at that time it was still in the movie theater? Because you know how films were in theaters longer back then?
Yes, indeed. Because that doesn't, because I saw it in a movie theater. Because I saw, I went to the premiere and we did all that stuff. But I was in San Diego, California, where my family is, my extended family, and they were saying Wayne's World's playing at the cinema, and this was months after the opening. So yeah, it could have been. It could have been.
It would have had to have been, because I didn't go see it. I mean, I wouldn't have been celebrating my birthday in February. So it must have been just, you know, probably playing in some small theater in the corner, you know, something like that. But very cool. And then, of course, Back to the Future 3. You were cast in Back to the Future 3, directed by Robert Zemeckis. That must have been pretty darn cool.
What a trip. That was another one. I was living in LA. Lynn was doing a play in San Diego. Again.
Right.
I got a call saying they want you to come in on Back to the Future 3 tomorrow morning. So I drive from San Diego back up to LA to the Universal security guard gate where they have a script for me. I go home, I'm looking at it. I don't sleep well, but I see that these guys are like scruffy, sort of Western comic bad guys. So I didn't shower the next morning. I went in, you know, hadn't slept, went in and just did these, this cowboy thing. And I go home and they call almost immediately and said, Mr. Zemeckis wants to see you this afternoon. And did sort of the same thing, once again, improvising stuff as cowboys, and that was it. And then it was months and months up in the gold rush country of California, because it took a long time to shoot it, because it was early days of a certain amount of CGI when, you know, they had two Mike Myers. They had his Western version, they had his contemporary version playing with each other.
Right.
And some days they would get maybe a scene shot, maybe not even a scene shot. So it was a long time in Sonora, California.
You mean Michael J. Fox, you mean?
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
And yes, there's Mike Myers, there's Michael J. Fox. I worked only with Michaels.
At first I was like, Mike Myers was in that? That's incredible.
I don't remember him.
That's amazing. Yeah.
But and it was, you know, it's basically, you know, riding horses, shooting guns.
Yeah.
Dirty teeth. Getting to play cowboy is like every 10-year-old's dream.
Of course.
And it was a full functioning town that they built, and it's still used as a set, because it bottoms out at a narrow gauge railroad, so that they can use, you know, railroad scenes and stuff. And it was extraordinary. The 1989 earthquake, which hit Northern California, happened in the middle of that, because I had been spending weekends going to visit my younger brother who lived in San Francisco, and I was about 2 hours due east. And I would go spend the weekends with him and just hang out in the city, and then come back in to work. But then the earthquake happened that leveled San Francisco, and so I didn't have my escape place, so I have to plug in my
no worries.
computer. Ding. So I lost my hangout on the weekends, but I made some great friends on that thing. But we were a little cabiny. One of the other guys, there was a toy store on the same block as the hotel. He built an entire corner, exterior and interior, of the hotel with Legos.
Right.
Just out of boredom, he was doing that. I had a road race set that I had set up in my hotel room that, we played with constantly. We were playing golf in the hallways of the hotel. It was
At 3 o'clock in
it
the
was a
morning.
yeah, at 3 o'clock in the
That's
morning.
right.
Thankfully, we basically had the whole hotel so that we weren't driving people crazy. We were just driving each other crazy.
Right,
But
right.
yeah,
Very
but an
cool. Very cool. Yeah,
amazing
no, it
experience.
is. It is. And then, of course, another highlight, of course, I'm sure for a lot of my viewers would be, yeah, like you said, your role on Umbrella Academy. How did that come about?
Because things have gotten so secretive. I auditioned for something, God knows what it was called. I went in and it was, I was playing like the father of somebody, and we were off in the woods, and it had literally nothing to do with the Umbrella Academy.
Okay.
It turned out to be an audition for the Umbrella Academy.
I see.
And so then it happened. They weren't giving anybody scripts.
Right.
You just got the scenes that you were in, and even if another scene was on part of the page, they'd redact what was in it. It was just so very secretive.
Right.
But then I found out that the showrunner, the executive producer, Steve Blackman, I knew. He had been a Winnipeg lawyer who said, "I don't want to practice law." Came to Toronto and helped write a dramatic series called The Associates, which was about lawyers,
Right.
young lawyers. And I was on that series for 2 seasons. And Steve was just one of the writers. That series ended. He went to LA, and 20 years later, he's basically created one of the most amazing TV series ever. And I was able to reconnect with someone I'd known years before. And I thought, well, okay, I know Steve, so maybe I can get some more information about the series.
Right.
To which he said, well, the graphic novel is out. Look at that.
Right.
But it's like even the people who are playing the leads were walking into the makeup trailer going, now I have this scene here, but I have no idea what it means. And until things started rolling, it's like people were basically learning on set, oh, I'm doing this because,
Right.
oh, I'm supposed to, oh, okay.
Right. Right. Very
But it
cool.
was so secretive, but it was also just one of the happiest sets
That's
I've ever
great.
worked on. All the special effects and complexities of the series. It was one of the happiest groups of people, and right through the pandemic,
Right.
and all the complications that came with that. I was so hoping that when I died in season 3 that I didn't die, because on that show is like, everybody died.
Right.
The entire leading cast, all of them died in episode 1, season 1.
Right.
So I figured there's no reason for me to stay dead, but I stayed dead.
Yeah. That's too
But
bad.
Lynn did season 4.
I was just going to bring that up. There was, I'll never forget when she shared the promo for it. And it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, I know Lynn's watching. She's in a wheelchair on a train or something, and that comes out of the side of a train with a shotgun or something. And it looks so epic, so badass, that the first thought in my head was, so this is Nancy before she retired. That's sort of what I I had in my head. These were some of the these were some of the investigations she was on before she walked into Detective Mike Henny's office. No, but
in her high performance wheelchair. She's basically this sweet lady running an antique shop, but it turns out the whole town is against the family, the Umbrella Academy group. And at the moment when they all turn on them, she has been talking to them very sweetly about things she has in her store. And she says, "Excuse me, darlings, for one moment."
Yes.
And she goes back. And then what you're seeing is she literally comes around the corner of her antique shop at full speed on her wheelchair. And tries to blast them. At which point, Elliot Page turns around and blasts Lynn into the void.
Amazing.
Like, you did in one scene what, it took me 3 seasons to get that kind of action.
That's so great. That's so great. And that's really cool.
Between the two of us, the family made it through the whole, thing. I did 1 through 3. She did 4.
Of course. Well, there you go. There you go. And although you didn't share a season together, so to speak, but to be on the same show is always, cool. Always nice.
And she got to meet these people who I had been saying, I just, I can't get over how much fun these people are to work with, even in tough circumstances. And she came away with the same feeling.
That's it. It's
a happy place. Wish it was still going on. I know there are a lot of other people who wish it was still going on too, but,
yeah.
I think that's.
Well, it was a huge show. It was a huge show.
It was like the number one. I think the season 1 was like the number 1 Netflix. It was their number 1 show.
Yeah.
It was just a blast.
Amazing. So tell us about the Slaughter Brothers. I keep wanting to say the Slaughter Dime. The Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus.
Maybe I should change it.
Maybe it's done. Changed. It's changed.
Changed. Okay. We got to rewrite.
Yep. Rewrite it right now.
Rewrite.
But this is, I remember you posting about this. I think I don't know if we had cast you in Billy 2 yet or not, but I remember seeing you talking about this in reference to, of course, the play that you had, that you were attempting to do. But for those of you, and I'm going to put let me just put the link here, the Indiegogo link into the chat. There it is right there, folks. Tell us about the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus. What is it? What's the inception of it? What's the inspiration for it? Obviously, it was a play. You were doing something really exciting for it. Then the pandemic hit and that sort of derailed some things. And now here you are, crowdfunding an independent film version of this theatrical play that you are the creator of. You're the George Lucas of this thing. And so you want to bring this to the screen and to get going. Obviously, it's 10,000 Canadian. That's to get you started. That's obviously, not it's going to cost more than that, folks. But to help get you started, because what's cool is that if we can get you into in demand, then there it is. Then you just kind of let it sit there and you can raise money over time, as well as other sources as well, because you had talked about grants and funding and, funds and all that. So tell us about the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus.
Well, it had sort of 2 inspirations. I've always written, but I was at a point where I was going, I want to write something for me that involves all the things that I love, which includes performers, circus being a particularly interesting one that you and I have talked about.
Right.
That the circus world is this strange and wonderful place where people work full time. They work together all the time, and they just have the strangest, jobs in the world.
It's true.
Wonderful at the same time.
Yeah.
So I wanted that. I wanted something that would be, that would spin on a dime, that go from being extremely funny to extremely horrific.
Right.
That an audience wouldn't see that coming. I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to do something where we played with language, where people spoke a combination of sort of carny speak, carnival barker speak, mixed with a certain amount of strange Elizabethan, almost Shakespearean dialogue, sort of like what they did with Deadwood. Where certain characters will suddenly break into verse,
right?
With a little bit of a Clockwork Orange, the sort of droogy speak of Alex Droog. So I had all these things going, and then the thing that really set it off was I was fishing in the Ottawa River and having a wonderful time, not realizing that the Ottawa River was contaminated. So a few weeks later, I was visited by Mr. Giardia, or beaver fever, as it is known in parts of Canada, a horrible parasitic stomach infection.
Ooh.
I was laid very, very low. And in moments of the slightly hallucinatory, um, more together moments of this, I started thinking about, because I was living with a parasite at that moment, what if you actually had a person and a parasite on stage together? And person was actually talking to the parasite and sort of having a breakup scene with them, which is what I was hoping for at that point. I'd like to have a breakup scene with this parasite that is attacking me. These are the things you think about when you have giardia, and it all made perfect sense to me then. I wrote down some weird stuff about this. I don't know what, but then I started to put together this idea of, if you started with the idea of a sort of dark satirical thing about a carnival that is basically crumbling before your eyes. It's just falling apart. The boss has decided to fire almost everybody so that he keeps more of the money, and that he will be the only star of the show because he thinks he's the best clown in the world.
Right.
And the few people he has left are absolutely devastated by this. Plus, the fact is that he's being a horrible lecher towards the one young woman who is left. So these people around him reach a level of needing to get back at him. Their need for vengeance takes them to a level that suddenly jackknives, as we said in the description,
Right.
jackknives the play from this sort of funny, dark thing into suddenly things are getting nightmarish, that people have powers that we didn't know they had. People start mutating. Basically, what happens is it becomes a horror revenge fantasy
Right.
with music.
Mm.
There are songs that I wrote that they exist within the context of the circus itself. But as the circus starts to morph, and it's almost like you're seeing a circus, and suddenly the ring starts to become misshapen. Camera angles start to veer off. The audience seems to disappear. You're still at the circus, but you're not. It's becoming very horrific. There's still little funny songs on the calliope, or the calliope,
Right.
but the songs are getting weirder, and people are starting to sprout antennas. People are starting to have a very different experience. So that's where the play goes to, and then it ends. The good are rewarded, the bad are punished, but no one comes out of this unscathed. It's sort of a scorched earth reality at the end of it, with two characters who emerge from it, who have become stronger because of this horror,
Right.
and they take us away. So that's the story.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Yeah, I remember, when you were talking about it, it again, it had that surreal, nightmarish, yeah, I don't know how else to describe it other than just surrealism. There's a strong surrealist, dreamlike element to the whole thing, which in and of itself can be very uncomfortable. It's like how, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like the world that you're building in and of itself, with, of course, the creepy characters, sure, but the world itself there's like a perpetual state of just uneasiness. It just feels uneasy, like something isn't right, even when there's, it's just kind of it's weird, I
compare it to what it's like. My younger brother was terrified of circuses.
Right.
He just thought it was too weird.
Right.
That you walk into this huge place. We're talking about like Ringling Brothers.
Yes.
It's like this huge thing, and there are 3 rings going, and that reality in and of itself is kind of surreal. Especially for a kid who has basically knows his home and his elementary school, walks into this thing, and it's like, what is this?
Right.
So that it starts out, even though things are kind of funny and jolly at the beginning, things are not going well. It's uneasy, but it's that sort of things are really strange here, until it becomes like, oh my God, the dream has gotten darker and darker.
Right.
And I compare it also to the way we're approaching it filmatically is like if you were, sometimes you'll see these documentaries of like they'll film a stage play, or they'll go and film a circus, and they filmed it really nicely and good angles and stuff. And it's just a documentary of watching this thing. But if about midway through, suddenly the colors started going off in the picture, and things got a little fuzzy, and the camera angles started to go strange. And then you looked out and you go, well, the audience, now it looks like they're mannequins, or they're like, vacuum cleaners sitting out there.
Right.
What is happening? And until it finally becomes like a Hammer horror film.
If they're vacuums, they all have to be dirt devils. Dirt devils.
I'm writing that down.
Dirt devils. Of course, you'll have to contact Dirt Devil. But hey, it's great promotion for them.
But I mean, yeah, it's product placement.
Right, right. And it's got the devil in the name, right? So I mean,
it's got the devil in the name.
There you go.
So at the end, basically, you've got that sort of garish, overly red, overly purple lighting of the old Hammer horror films.
Right.
When this thing really comes to its climax, and things are starting to, like, there are limbs flying around.
Right.
That this has gone from basically something you might see on PBS as a documentary,
right,
into something that is truly horrific.
Right.
So that's yeah, okay. But it's sort of surreal from the beginning, but it's sort of a pleasant one.
But it's insidious, isn't it? It's like it grows and grows to something really uncomfortable and strange.
Much like a parasitical infection.
Right. From the Ottawa River. It's
from the Ottawa River.
That's
Sorry, I had a great time, Ottawa River. I mean, it was a great time, but I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. But it gave me the source of a play. And the great thing about having done the play, even though, because we were going to open in March 2020. Well, that didn't happen.
Yes.
And then we finally ran it in 2022, only for a couple of weeks. But what it did is it gave us a chance to see, is it funny when it's supposed to be funny?
Right.
Does it catch the audience off guard when it starts to shift? Does it freak them out? And the answer was yes. We saw that the structure worked, and it's like, it's not too often you get with, I think I was always thinking of a film,
right,
basically, towards the end. It has a cinematic quality to it that we were able to, achieve some of on stage, but it was really meant for film. But to be able to put it in front of an audience and go, does this story work?
Right.
We might think it works great, but until you have an audience, you don't know. So we actually got to test it for a couple of weeks and get some, Delirium magazine saw it and wrote some of those things you said earlier on, and Broadway World. So we got to sort of test run it. So, I mean, I think we're in great shape, production wise.
Right.
It's just about raising the money.
It's about raising the money now.
As it always is.
Yes, of course. Let me just bring up your Indiegogo campaign here on the page. Hang on a sec. I have us. Oh, let me put above us here. 1 second. So this is your Indiegogo campaign. Folks, the link is in the description. You can see here that they are... well, what you're seeing is Canadian dollars. So if you're in the US, you will see something a bit lower. 951 Canadian dollars, are at 9% of their $10,000 goal. Now, again, the film's going to cost, a lot more than that, but $10,000 Canadian is enough to get them started. That, if they can reach their goal, that obviously will put their campaign into in demand, which is the ultimate sort of goal here. And then they can continue to raise funds until they go to camera. But some of your... let me see here. Some of your perks. Let me just get some of your perks down here. These are really, really fun. Let me see here. There we are. So, let me just go through some of these here. So again, you're looking at Canadian dollars, but it'll be cheaper for you in the US. So big top thanks. I think that's Lynn herself right there in that image. $5, of course, gets a thank you. Digital download and more, $15. Special thanks credit IMDb, There's already 4 claimed on that. A DVD copy is $32 Canadian. That's going to be cheaper for you in the US. There's a Blu-ray copy as well, which is $40 Canadian. Again, that will be cheaper for you in the US. Why can I not move that over? Hang on a sec here. I'm trying to move it over. For some reason, that's not working. 1 second here. Where's the... Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. That little thing down there. So yes, you can see $40 for a Blu-ray. Again, that'll be cheaper for you in the States. Circus t-shirt, circus poster, a clown producer credit, which is pretty cool. Clown producer credit, signed copy of the script, the circus bundle, be in the circus, you want to be in it, associate producer credit, co-producer credit, executive producer credit. And again, you're seeing these in Canadian dollars. That will be cheaper for you. And depending on, it might be significantly so, because I know our Canadian dollar has sunk over the last little bit here. So, so it'll probably be significantly cheaper for you in the States. So yeah, folks, if you're watching live or if you're watching after the fact, help Sean out with, again, with, you know, a Blu-ray, a DVD, a poster even. It'd be great to get them to at least the 10% mark. And then, you know, obviously I'm going to share this out over my socials as well, just to keep people sort of in the loop on it. I think it's really cool what you're doing, and totally independent, and which is very cool. Oh, hang on a sec. There's my desktop. And
there's also, I don't know if you can see this, boy, let's see if I can do this. This is a, Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus.
Oh, 1 second. Hang on a sec. Let me turn off the display capture. All right, there we go.
Let's see if I can get this thing to... You can't really see it too well, but that is a Strepsiptera parasitical insect, which is basically...
Oh, yes.
Kind of what happens to one of the characters. And the flip side in sort of a Teutonic thing, that's Slaughter Brothers
SBDC, yeah.
Yes, so that was just hanging around my desk. But anyway, those are going to be part of the perk package as well.
Very cool, very cool. And yes, I notice here, like if I click on, let's say, the Blu-ray, yeah, look at that. DVD copy, IMDb special credits, digital download, and more. Like there's lots. Yeah, very cool, very cool.
I should mention before we go that part of why we moved into this is that a young filmmaker from Chicago,
yes,
Richard Bergen has a feature film out called Fang, which has won a bunch of awards in film festivals. It's gotten some great reviews. It's a psychological horror film. Richard is in his late 20s. He's a young guy. He has got the energy of, and sort of the personality of a young David Lynch.
Okay.
He's an interesting guy. And he met Lynn through one of the horror conventions. She mentioned Slaughter Brothers to him. He asked if we could talk. We started talking, and his thinking is right in line with ours. And he said, you know, I would love to helm something like this. We talked further, and he is the film director of the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus, along with our stage director, Eris Thomas, who will be there as sort of the link to from the original production.
Continuity, I guess, link, make sure everything kind of...
And the sense of mood and things like that. Atmosphere,
yes,
of which it has a lot.
I bet it does. It would have to. It would have to. I mean,
it would have to, which is another reason why having the amazing Gregory Bennett from It's Me, Billy,
yes,
as our cinematographer. As you know, he is a brilliant artist and technician with light and shadow.
Incredible. He's amazing. I mean, he's working with Greg. I'm excited to work with him again. I understand. I mean, I'm, as you know, Sean, I mean, I've been working in the industry a long time, but the filmmaking side of my journey is fairly new. But I can understand now, having just worked with Greg twice, why so many directors and filmmakers will continue to work with the same people over and over again. When you find, if they're available, of course. But I understand why so many directors and filmmakers will, and it makes sense. Like, it does make sense, because it happens in the voiceover world as well. I mean, there's many directors and producers that will just call me to do it. You know what I mean? They won't audition. They won't, well, we know Dave can do it. We like Dave, so let's just give him a call, and so.
Just cut out the middleman. Yeah,
exactly. And so, but it was interesting, because I really understand why, Spielberg has had the same, he's worked with the same DP since Schindler's List. Now, part of that could be because Schindler's List was what got him his first Academy Award for Best Director. So maybe he considers that a good luck thing, and got him his second one with Saving Private Ryan. I mean, his DP Kaminsky or whatever.
I'm embarrassed that I don't.
Yeah, I'm same. He's a titan. I mean, one of the greats. He's been Spielberg's DP since Schindler's List and on. So he's done everything from Schindler's List to Saving Private Ryan to Catch Me If You Can to, everything. And since 1993. And he's brilliant. He's amazing. He's won, so many awards. But you understand it. You understand it. You develop a relationship, you develop a chemistry, and especially when somebody who understands your vision, you as the director, as the filmmaker, to communicate the vision, to work with the DP. And so, working with Greg was an amazing to be able to make, the first two films that we did have that kind of experience. I think was, we were very lucky, because not everybody does, Not everybody does.
And you can have a great script, and but a great cinematographer, someone who, that somehow they can hear what you're looking for, and they can translate that into picture.
Right.
And it's just, it either happens or it doesn't, I guess.
Yeah.
And you can see why, having the same cinematographer, same film editor, because you go, those are, director, camera, and editing is basically that's who, that's what film's about. For sure.
And we were so lucky to have Greg and the whole team. I mean, obviously it's not just,
it's a great team. It's a great team.
Greg, but the whole team, and some new faces on chapter 2, but some old faces as well. And so, I get it. You're in great hands with Greg. I mean, his wealth of knowledge is incredible. I mean, he's done everything from feature films to short films to commercials to music videos to, he's done it all.
Yeah.
And
he's also one of the nicest, easiest persons to work with.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, to be that level of an artist and to be that easy to work with is pretty super.
Yeah, I've learned so much from him. Things that as a director you should know as a director, that he's taught me, and Bruce as well, of course, taught us things that were like, oh yeah, we need to know that. We need to know that. And he's been so gracious with his time, and he's great. You're in great hands with it. I know there's a few questions that came in the chat room. Let me just, let me see. So folks, don't forget to, I'm going to put the link there again. Don't forget to head over there again, like with the Billy 2 campaign. Now, unlike with the Billy 2 campaign, they're not looking to raise nearly as much. So this is, they might need about the same amount, but with this,
would like,
they would like that much.
Like that much. But we're going to start out a little smaller.
That's it. Well, it's like a TV, right? Somebody said once to me when I was buying a television, I was humming, this is about, 13 years ago, whatever. I was in Best Buy and I was humming and hawing over, should I get one that, I don't know. I mean, now the TV I have now is 75 inches. But at the time, I was looking to replace like a a 40-inch with a 60-inch, I think. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, I don't know, and maybe it's a little too big or whatever. And the guy just turns to me and he goes, listen, I have had customers bring their televisions back because they're too small. I have never had a customer come back because their television is too big. he said, so just get the 60-inch. And I'm like, okay. And it's true. I mean,
hard to argue.
Yes. Barring, space being an issue, of course.
Space limitations.
That may cause you to bring something back. But he says, I
don't have a house big enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But he says, I've never had anybody get a big TV and wish they didn't get a big TV. You know what I mean?
I think it would work better if it was like that.
Exactly. So the point I was making was that it's right. I mean, obviously, the more money, the better, because that allows you, nobody's going to turn down more money, of course, because that allows you to do more things, hire more people, and it just obviously makes the production
make a better product.
Better product. That's exactly it. And but to get things started, like again, I mean, a Blu-ray, a poster, the digital download, thanks, very similar to what you usually see with Indiegogo campaigns, and the price points are in and around where, they usually are. So I would say, yeah, folks, if there's anything you can do, read about it on the Indiegogo campaign. There's the official, actually, let me just bring that up there. Hang on a sec. Let me go back to the display capture. This is what you're seeing here is the, I'm assuming this is at least the poster you're running with at the moment. The Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus. That is the poster there. You can read about the overview. There's some surrealism, crazy artwork that I think was done by Lynn, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, it has. Yes, it was done by Lynn.
Amazing. Yeah, Lynn is a Swiss Army knife when it comes to crafts and making things. She is
that kind of an artist. I think I'm going to work that phrase into something about her, because she is the artistic Swiss Army knife.
Yes. Oh, it is.
She really is.
She really is. And that's like a. And I like that the balloon is black. Yes, the balloon is black here. Just looking at this one image, that's great. The brain is black. Meet the team, of course. There you are. There's your director right there. And then we have, this is. I believe it's Mercedes. Is that who I'm looking at here? Oh, no, that's Eris Thomas. That's Eris Thomas, the theater director. This is Mercedes below. She's going now. Who is she playing in the?
Sylvain Mercedes.
Sylvain Mercedes. Excuse me.
She is the young woman in the play. She is one of the most remarkable. She's actually in the Stratford Company now.
Oh, okay.
She has an incredible singing voice. A lot of the music was written for her. She is also she is one of these extremely beautiful women who can completely take the Mickey out of herself. She is an amazingly good comic actress as well as dramatic one, and she has worked in everything from a lot of stage musicals to very avant-garde theater. She is a treasure. She is an absolute treasure.
Awesome.
So yes, she and Lynn are the female component.
Yes, and speaking of Lynn, there she is right there, and I believe that's her from the on the right is her from the play, correct?
On the stage, that is Daphne the Clown Mother.
Daphne the Clown Mother.
Who speaks in something that is called, in the clown world, is called a gramalot, which is basically gibberish with certain words clearly spoken so that you can follow what they're saying. But it is sort of a combination of clown gibberish and normal dialogue. And in the production, basically, the other people, other than the boss in the play, everyone can understand her, even though the audience sometimes can't. But she will say things to us, and we will respond to her as you know, because we've been with her for so long.
So you can understand her, but the audience can't, kind of like Chewbacca from Star Wars or something like that.
There is a certain Chewbacca-ish quality, though some of her dialogue you can understand, but it comes
Right.
I don't know, Dave, if I'm going to make the Chewbacca
No,
comparison
it's no.
I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna think
No.
but I'm not gonna just jump in with that.
I mean in her language, of course.
Yes. I absolutely understand.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Lynn, I can feel Lynn going, David.
Yeah, you'll be getting a call.
I'll be getting a call. I think that's gonna happen. No, look, she looks fantastic, and I think that's really, really cool, and I love it because I remember Lynn. You know, she would sometimes. I remember her saying when we were shooting Billy, I remember her saying, you know, she'd love to, and I think this is maybe, well, it was kind of like her role in that episode of Umbrella Academy, and you know, in the sense of, because she's terrific at this sweet sort of, you know, nice, sweet, oh, everything's, there's nothing to see. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, grandma is not sweet, and she's vicious and maniacal and evil and holy snap and crap. She's got a gun. And so, Lynn, plays that, or can play that just, you know, tremendously.
Well, and that's the idea of the clown mother, is that she is basically, she seems like a very sweet, happy clown, but she has a certain malevolent quality.
Right.
And she can turn on people, but she is absolutely loyal to Penny, which is the part that Sylvia Mercedes is playing.
Right.
But it's like she is one of those characters that you go, don't get on the wrong side of her. She may look cute, but she has teeth.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't mess.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly. Let me just go over to the chat room, because I know a few questions did come in. Guys, if you have any questions about the Slaughter Brothers Dime Circus, feel free to ask them. If you're watching after the fact, the link to the Indiegogo campaign will be pinned to the top of the comment section. Again, every little bit helps. Pick up a Blu-ray, a t-shirt. Do you have t-shirts? Maybe you don't. Posters though, for sure.
I can't remember.
And or just you know, a special thanks, a DVD even. It goes a long way. They're only $49 away from 1,000, which would be 10% of their goal, with 3.5 weeks left to go. So yeah, just check it out and see if there's anything there that you can do. And I do know for sure, and if you want to become a producer on the film, a co-producer, associate producer, an executive producer, the price points are really good and a lot more affordable for more people, I would say, which is great. But let's go over to the chat. I just wanted to get a couple of these. A member chat did come in. One from Brandon Collins, and says, Sean, it must feel special knowing Freddie Mercury watched the Bohemian Rhapsody scene from Wayne's World just before he passed. Such an iconic scene.
It's true. It's funny. We did a Rolling Stone article, which, I mean, one of the things someone of my generation, to say Rolling Stone wants to do an interview with you. It's just like, oh, okay. You just pinch me. But what the point of the article was about was the fact that because of that clip, the song Bohemian Rhapsody went to #1 twice, once in the 70s and once in the 90s, because of that video. And Mike Myers fought for that song to be used. They were going to use an AC/DC song.
Right.
And Mike was in contact with Freddie at the time, and a large part of why he fought for it was, it works brilliantly.
It does.
And it's something that my brother and I actually used to do in the 70s in my rotten Chevy Vega wagon with a good sound system, singing along to that song.
Right.
But the fact that, it was something for Freddie.
Right.
And yeah, it is extremely special because I mean, when Queen was first sort of hitting in the 70s, in those probably first 3 albums or 4 albums,
Yeah.
I was just all over that band. And yeah, so I think that's yeah, I agree. It is very cool.
For sure. 100%. Lee, the Machine Bauer, sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Lee, and says, "Party on Wave, party on Garth. Wayne's World is my favorite of all time. How come you didn't return for Wayne's World 2?"
That's a good question. It's interesting because I actually was supposed to be in it, but Dana wasn't going to do Wayne's World 2.
Like he wasn't going to do it, or they weren't going to do it at all?
No, he wasn't going to.
He wasn't going to. Okay.
And they were scripting with that in mind.
Right.
And then so this is secondhand knowledge, but I do know that things changed very rapidly right before things started going. He decided that he did want to do it, and I do believe they were, kind of pressing him, if they could. But it was at a point where it meant a major script revision.
Right.
Because it was basically a Wayne story, and then it was turned back into Wayne and Garth. So
Right.
I was, one of the unfortunates that, there wasn't room for everybody at that point, and they didn't have a lot of time to finesse it. So, it was basically, we got to get Garth into the story.
Right.
So,
yeah.
C'est la vie, man.
That's what happens. That's what happens. And then, let me see here. Ryan Olshow says, "Sean, out of all the movies that you have done in your career, which happens to be your favorite and why?" Well, I mean, besides Billy 2.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to, okay, because, conflict of interest. I mean, here we are, it's like, we can't,
I mean, it was a hell of a role, and I mean, the residuals alone are going to be huge, but whatever.
And I killed.
You were...
I wiped the floor with that.
Oh, I mean...
Why have 2 scenes when you kill it in one?
I mean, I've never seen anybody look so surprised when somebody opens the door before. I mean, it was so believable.
I can't wait till the film festivals when,
it's Academy Award winning.
The
right
award, the award for single scene performance goes to...
It's huge.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I will say this, though. I will say this. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say, I will say this. Obviously, there was nothing in those Christmas presents, but you did a terrific job at making it seem like there was weight to those boxes. And there's nothing that grinds my gears more when I see I guess we could, in hindsight, I guess we could have put, or maybe we should have put something in there, a couple of books or something to give it some weight. But we didn't.
But I know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say? There's nothing that grinds my gears more when I see somebody take a drink out of a glass or something, or they pick up something and there's nothing in it. They handle it too quickly. They go like this too. It's something. It's too. Yeah. It's too. Yeah. I don't feel the weight. I don't feel it. It does. I don't believe it. Essentially. I don't believe it.
And I'm so glad to hear that, because I have the exact same reaction. The numbers of coffee cups that are obviously empty, and it's just like, come on, man! It doesn't have, some sort of brown liquid.
Yeah, chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk, whatever.
Yeah.
I know it burns me, and because I come from a physical theater background,
right.
I studied mime intensely when I was really young, and toured as a mime. But so when I'm given things like that to do, I try to think of that. Okay, there is a physical reality here that should play into it. It's always easier if there is something there.
Yes,
but to create, it's not something that we think of for the most part, because, you're an actor, you're given something, you play with it and you do whatever you do. But
Well, and
But
and
I
you
know
have,
it's
I mean, again, I mean, you have so many years of experience, and your theater, as you just said, your theater background and the physicality of your experience of being a performer, naturally you're given, where a less experienced actor who maybe doesn't have quite the same theater experience or that improv experience, or whatever it is, may have handled the gifts differently. Right. It might have been a different, and sometimes it's just the nuances. I mean, it's not like, you're sitting there going like this, and trying to, it has nothing to do with that. It's just the tiny nuances and details of how you kind of do this, and then you reach for your phone, and then you do this, just those little things. I go, I believe that. I believe there's something in there. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's,
it's, but I do agree. It's like, come on, craft service can put something in the cup. They can put something in the cup.
I agree. And in retrospect, I probably should have put something in those boxes. I think I just wrapped them up and thought, oh, whatever.
Well, you know what? If this makes or breaks the film, there's something wrong with the film.
It's true. It's true. And nobody has said anything. Now that I've said that, though, you watch people go, I can always tell. No,
you know what? I wasn't gonna say anything, but
yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Well, now that you said it, I can kind of because no, be quiet.
I feel like it's okay for me.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
But in terms of film,
yes, sorry,
film that I was most special is actually not one that we've talked about. It was the last of the Howling films.
Oh, okay.
Howling 6, which was The Freaks, and it's another carnival piece. It was a beautiful script, and it involved both a vampire and a werewolf. And the werewolf was actually the good guy in this one, but it took place in a traveling low rent carnival.
Right.
This may be where Slaughter Brothers came from too. And I played a horribly disfigured boy called the Alligator Boy, and just covered in, was like, some sort of horrible scaly thing.
Right.
And it made him a natural for this carnival. And the way he's brought into it, that the evil vampire who actually runs the carnival convinces this very scared, very introverted young boy to join the circus because he will become special.
Right.
That as opposed to people, looking away from him, that they will be applauding him and cheering him.
Right.
It was a beautiful little film. And they built they had an entire running carnival that, in the San Fernando Valley, outside of LA, where we did exteriors and stuff. And it was, it's a film that came and went, but it was very close to my heart. And that's often the case, that you get, something, that's a low budget project, but you get a chance to sort of stretch out a little bit more.
Right.
And everyone there working on it was there because they wanted to do the project. That no one was, it was not going to be a Hollywood blockbuster.
Right.
So, egos were in check. And it was, it was a very special one. And it's out there. Howling 6, The Freaks.
Howling 6, The Freaks. Howling 6, The Freaks. Make sure you guys, I don't think I've seen the first Howling, but I don't know if I've seen 6. Yeah. So I'll have to.
I didn't, I've seen The Howling. Yeah. And I don't think I've seen 6 because right. But 3, 4, and 5.
Who knows? Who knows?
I don't know.
I don't know. And then let me see here. Antonis Andriota says, how many days was the Back to the Future 3 shoot? I'm assuming, for you, it would be different than the entire production, but how many days were you on it?
Well, because I was on a weekly salary, I was there for over 2 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Northern California. Yeah, I had one weekend. Lynn and I had basically just gotten together,
right.
And I was able to come back to LA for one weekend, but I was basically Yeah, it was Back to the Future boot camp because
Right.
we just lived there, and part of it was because they didn't know how well this camera rig to do the special effects camera things with Michael J. Fox. Um, they didn't know how well these things were going to work, how quickly they work, so they basically were keeping everyone there because they go, okay, we're not going to get that shot today. We're going to move to this,
Right.
and they basically just wanted everyone there, and you realize, that was an Amblin Entertainment film.
Yep.
They had all the money in the world, and they just kept everybody
Yeah.
on the set, so that they could just, grab what they could grab. They were also because they shot Back to the Future 2 and 3, one right after the other, uh, partially because, Michael J. Fox was, getting older,
Yep.
and they were trying to match something from basically 4 or 5 years earlier, and so they were just cranking it out, and Robert Zemeckis was going back to LA pretty much every weekend to edit, 2, Back to the Future 2,
Right.
while shooting Back to the Future 3. So they basically just wanted everyone there to work, when they could, but it meant, that's why the cabin fever kind of set in. The only time I played golf in my life was in Sonora, California, because, we ran out of things to do.
Right.
And 2 other guys in the 2 other buttheads in the gang with me, we wandered off and, there was a golf course where nobody was on it most of the time, and, we were terrible, but it was, like, something fun to do when you were just, like,
Right.
literally living in a hotel room,
Right.
and, I didn't complain too much,
Yeah.
but there were some very slow periods.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet. Well, I mean, like they always say, I mean, making a movie is really just, hurry up and wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
um,
and then suddenly you're like, yeah, crazy busy. The first day we actually shot was another day where we thought we're never gonna get on the set, and I was actually asleep in my little trailer
oh, really?
thing, and they knock on the door and they say, "We're ready for you," and I literally fell down the steps of the trailer because I wasn't really awake,
Right.
and then we're on the set, and suddenly we're in the middle of it,
Right.
and yeah, it was definitely a hurry up and wait
Yeah.
kinda
You
set.
weren't ready. I mean, you were just, you know what I mean? You weren't, yeah, you weren't
I'm
prepared.
ready.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny. Well, listen, Sean, this has been great. I really appreciate you,
Yes, it has.
being on here. I'm going to continue to share this around and see if we can
Thanks, buddy.
get you. Yeah, no problem at all. See if we can get you as close to that goal as we possibly can. Again, folks,
Thank
the
you.
link is in, I'll put the link in the description there. Every little bit helps. This is a passion project for Sean, a completely original horror film. So if you're complaining that there's no original horror films out there, well, you have an opportunity to bring something to life here. This is something that if you like that kind of horror, surrealism, dreamlike, circus, weird, eerie kind of stuff that seems normal and all of a sudden turns everything on its head and it's weird and crazy and what's going on, then this is going to be right up your alley and you have an opportunity to be a part of it, whether that's just picking up a Blu-ray or a DVD or a poster, or if you maybe have some extra cash from grandma at Christmas time and you want to be a producer, you can always do that as well. And again, don't be again, you were looking at the prices in Canadian dollars. Most of you will be able to see it in US dollars, so it'll be a lot cheaper for you. But yeah, stay around, Sean. Afterwards, we'll have sort of a formal goodbye. But any last things you want to say about the project or anything you want anybody to know?
Just that, we know that this has a great effect on an audience. We've seen it happen. Audience laughing, enjoying, watching this crazy circus fall apart and then get turned on its heels and turn into this horror revenge nightmare. We know it works. We just need your help. to make it come to life as a film, which I think is going to be incredibly dynamic and exciting and fun to see.
For sure. Well said. Well said. And it sounds really, really cool. All right, folks. Well, listen, that's going to do it for this episode of McRae Live. Again, thank you, Sean, for being here. Thank you for everybody who was watching. And we shall talk to you all very soon. All righty, folks. Cheers.